to 5 is Tuesday night at 6 at Dodger Stadium. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hello, KBLA delegation. Tavis Smiley here. On Saturday, October 25th, LA Trade Tech becomes the epicenter of ideas that matter. The Left Coast Forum is bringing together voices that challenge, inspire, and illuminate, with keynote presentations from people like noted economist Richard Wolff, the man who breaks down capitalism in ways that make sense to working folk like you and me, and Dr. Cornel West will be there, the brilliant philosopher and activist who never stops fighting for justice and speaking truth to power and to the powerless, for that matter. So this isn't just another conference. This is where ideas get tested, where the conversations that shape our future begin. Multiple plenary sessions, dynamic speakers, real talk about the issues that impact our communities, and then some good food and a live band. Saturday, October 25th, LA Trade Tech, Left Coast Forum. The event is free and open to the public, but you must register at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can also peep the plenary topics. The future belongs to those who show up and engage. So don't just think about change, be part of the conversation that creates it. The Left Coast Forum is brought to you by the LA Progressive, the Empowerment Congress, Community Coalition, Partnership for Growth LA, Southwest Voter Registration Education Project, LA Care Health Plan, United Teachers Los Angeles, Black Progressive Action Coalition, St. John's Community Health, the National Lawyers Guild, the Weingart Foundation, and more. Space is limited, so if I were you, I'd register right now at KBLA1580.com. Your voice matters, your presence matters. We'll see you there.
Try to keep it coming. Things ain't always new. But I'll be alright as long as I can find the good. Yes, I will. Somehow I know that I can make it. You seem to like my style. Don't you worry, I'm gonna be around a while. Yes, I will. I'm just happy to see you talk to me back and start again.
Live from historic Leimert Park in Los Angeles, California, I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm so glad to see you and me back in stride again. Before we get started with today's show, let me invite you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Tavis Smiley, and get updates on X, that's formerly Twitter, at Tavis Smiley. By the way, should you miss any part of today's program or want to catch up on previous shows, you can always visit thetavissmileyshow.com. That's thetavissmileyshow.com, or wherever you get your podcast, and listen to the Tavis Smiley podcast version of this live program at your leisure. Another great show on tap for you today. In our second hour, two conversations. It's Monday, so up first, it's Smiley and West. Everybody is talking, it seems, about the conversation between Ezra Klein and Ta-Nehisi Coates, to quote, hash out their Charlie Kirk disagreement, close quote. That's how the podcast of this conversation between Ezra and Ta-Nehisi is labeled. Take a listen.
One thing I wrote about in that piece that I do worry about is I worry we are already in a cycle of political violence, of mimetic violence. I think about Pelosi. I think about Shapiro. I think about the near assassination on Trump. I think about when after that happened, I thought about me. I thought about you. I thought about all kinds of people I know, right? So I do think there's just something about when violence takes hold that you like, that there's something about it that it begins to breach all lines.
Yeah. So
anyway,
I guess
that was part of my reaction too.
I think all of that is understandable, but I guess, was silence not an option?
Yeah, silence to me was not grieving with people. I felt it was important as someone who is liberal as someone who's a voice, that there are moments like that. Like, I really do feel, and it's funny because you said something like this in your piece, but it was a little bit more offhanded. That political violence like that is an attack on us all.
Right.
And that in that moment, it creates, for me, even if it's very temporary, that it's important in a moment like that to sort of, come together, to try to see other people in their grief, to try to cool things down just a little bit.
So I watched the conversation yesterday, and I have, of course, I have my own read of it. Let me just say that I've done this long enough to know that conversation does not always lead to conversion. The conversation doesn't always lead to, how might I put it, transformation. Sometimes these public dialogues are, to my mind, just an exercise in using language as a kind of prophylactic, not really getting at a moral clarity about the ways in which Black suffering gets rendered invisible, even as that suffering is at the epicenter of the American democratic experiment. But that's just me. I am anxious to hear what Dr. West has to say on the top side of hour 2. On the B side of hour 2, Dr. Terrence Lester, founder and executive director of Love Beyond Walls, takes us inside his new book, From Dropout to Doctorate, Breaking the Chains of Educational Injustice. In our third hour, 2 conversations. Up first, we'll talk a little sports. Just a few weeks ago, everybody was talking about the Canelo Crawford fight, which Terrence Bud Crawford won rather handily, even though there was no stoppage in the fight. Mike Silver is author of the new book, When in Doubt, Stop the Bout, a revolutionary approach to boxing safety and reform. We'll get to Mike Silver on the top side of hour 3. And then on the B side of hour 3. Robin Campbell and Jimmy Brown of the iconic reggae band UB40 talk about their U.S. tour on the backside of our 3. I'll look forward to that. But we commence today's show talking politics and more with our regular contributor, Connie Rice. Connie, how are you today?
Hey, Tavis, hanging in there. How are you?
I'm doing the best I can. You know me, if I complained, I'd be an ingrate. So I'm looking at all the stuff on my board. I feel like Alex Trebek on Jeopardy, Connie. Let me tell you what's on the board. I'll let you choose where you want to start. So much to cover in this first hour. And you choose what you want to start with, and I'll play a clip and we'll jump from there. So here's what I have on my big board. Eric Adams drops out of the race for mayor of New York City. I've got Trump on Comey and Comey on Trump. I've got Rachel Maddow saying this book from Kamala Harris was going to sell a gazillion copies. Not so much. We're talking about Kamala Harris and whether or not she made a strategic mistake framing this book the way that she did. So you want Eric Adams, you want Trump on Comey, you want Kamala Harris. What do you want to start with? You choose.
Let's start with Comey, since that's the biggest threat.
All right. Biggest threat is Comey. So, Miles, give me clip number 2. This is Donald Trump talking about how he's seeking justice, not revenge, on James Comey.
Mr. President, I'm James Comey. Now that James Comey has been indicted, who is the next person on your list in this retribution?
It's not a list, but I think there'll be others. I mean, they're corrupt. These were corrupt, radical left Democrats. Because Comey essentially was he's worse than a Democrat. I would say the Democrats are better than Comey. But no, there'll be others. Look, that's my opinion. They weaponized the Justice Department like nobody in history. What they've done is terrible. And so I hope there are others, because you can't let this happen to a country.
President Trump, are you worried now that the next time there's a Democratic president, they will indict your FBI director or people in your administration?
That's what they tried to do, right? They did it with me. For 4 years, they went after me. They went after me for 4 years, and that doesn't include the 4 great years that we had in the White House.
Is this more about justice or is it about revenge?
It's about justice, really. It's not revenge. It's about justice. It's also about the fact that you can't let this go on. They are sick, radical left people, and they can't get away with it.
Donald Trump is such a liar. I mean, he's just a liar. He does, in fact, have an enemies list. You heard him say there will be others. I hope there will be others. But then he says it's not about revenge. It's about justice. That's Donald Trump on the indictment of former FBI Director James Comey. When we come forward, I'll play you what Comey has to say about this indictment. Then I'll cut Connie Rice loose, that is, for the rest of the hour. You're listening. I'm glad about it to Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Hey, KBLA 1580 delegation, your health matters to us. We know that information is power, especially when it comes to prevention and treatment. That's why we're proud to introduce the brand new KBLA Health and Wellness Hub. This online space is built just for you, connecting our community to trusted health resources, culturally relevant care, and even access to diverse clinical trials and emerging therapies. Whether you're looking for information on common conditions, mental health support, or just want to stay on top of your wellness journey, we got you. And the best part, it's all on our website at kbla1580.com. Accessible, empowering, community-focused. So just go to kbla1580.com and click on the Health and Wellness Hub icon, because knowledge is power and your health is everything. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Break out the champagne. Everybody get a glass.
Tavis Smiley is now ranked number 16 nationally and the highest rated talk show hosted by an African American on the 2025 Talkers Heavy 100 list of the most important talk radio hosts in the nation. Last year, Tavis ranked number 33, and the year before, number 45. The Tavis Smiley Show has rapidly expanded its national syndication to now include nearly 50 radio stations across the country and counting. Congratulations, Tavis.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's go.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
There's nothing like when you get that part from eBay and it just fits. Yeah, the first time. So you can do less of this and get right back to more of this. At eBay, you'll find all the parts you need, guaranteed to fit, at prices you'll love. Sounds good, doesn't it? eBay, things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
More honesty than you can handle. More empowerment than you can imagine. You're tuned in to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Connie Rice. All right, so that's Donald Trump saying he has no enemies list. It's about justice, not revenge. But there are others that he hopes will be investigated. He believes they will be. And as a matter of fact, yesterday on NBC, Donald Trump said that he believes that former FBI Director Christopher Wray is also guilty of inappropriate behavior during his tenure. And he said, and I quote here, I would certainly imagine, I would think they are doing that, which is to say, investigating Christopher Wray as well. So Comey already under indictment. And yesterday he suggests that he thinks they probably are, they likely are, I would imagine they are investigating Christopher Wray right now as well. So he has a list of people, and Christopher Wray appears to be next up. But here's what James Comey has had to say about this indictment.
My family and I have known for years that there are costs to standing up to Donald Trump, but we couldn't imagine ourselves living any other way. We will not live on our knees, and you shouldn't either. Somebody that I love dearly recently said that fear is the tool of a tyrant, and she's right, but I'm not afraid, and I hope you're not either. I hope instead you are engaged, you are paying attention, and you will vote like your beloved country depends upon it, which it does. My heart is broken for the Department of Justice, but I have great confidence in the federal judicial system, and I'm innocent. So let's have a trial and keep the faith.
Stealing my line, huh? Keep the faith. All right. I ain't mad at you, James Comey. I've been doing that for 35 years, y'all. You heard James Comey just steal my line without attribution and no payment for using my line. But I digress on that because I stole it from Adam Clayton Powell Jr., so it's all good. Anyway, all right, Connie. So here's my thinking on this, Connie, and I'm gonna let you have it. So when this news broke, my first reaction was, I mean, beyond the obvious that Donald Trump has just put another item on the list of his authoritarian ways, his fascism. I get that. But beyond that, I'm thinking, how are Democrats and how are Black folk in particular are going to process this indictment of James Comey? And here's what I mean, and you know where I'm going. Democrats and a whole lot of Black folk ain't got no love for James Comey. It is James Comey, many believe, who is the reason why Hillary Clinton did not become president. You all recall the server issue and the investigations that Comey was doing right around the time of the election, and he releases this information, or some of it leaks out, and many believe to this very day that Hillary Clinton might have been president were it not for James Comey playing those investigation games at the wrong time. I thought about Hillary Clinton. I said, I'm sure she's sitting back laughing, kicking her feet up in the air that James Comey finally got what he deserved. That's one way to read it, that we ain't got no love for James Comey. On the other hand, this is a very, very slippery slope. When the president of the United States can start calling out people and suggesting publicly that they ought to be investigated, and boom, lo and behold, a few days later, they're under indictment. I don't know where we're going to come down on this issue, but talk to me, Connie Rice.
Hey. That slope, we're at the bottom of the slope. We're now in the swamp.
Yeah.
If you thought, okay, so let me tell folks what frame we're in, because why should anybody care? Nobody cares about Comey. Exactly. All right, you're right. He's not the issue. He's not the issue. Who cares about Comey? The reason we need to care about this latest eruption of Trumpism is that in this country, we're not supposed to have political persecution. Mm-hmm. You're not supposed to go after your political enemies list. Nixon lost his presidency because he couldn't let go of that enemies list. He was another paranoid, persecution complex guy. And you remember under Bush's administration, when Alberto Gonzales, the attorney general at that point, did a political prosecution, Senate and the House of Representatives protested, held hearings, said, we don't do this in this country, and he had to resign. So the last attorney general come in with Trump, and that whole system is out. Without fear or favor, evidence-based investigations, you got to have probable cause, reasonable suspicion. You have to have at least one fact before you convene a grand jury. And you got to have career prosecutors who are independent from the executive branch, who can make a judgment about whether to pursue a criminal conviction, a criminal prosecution, based on facts and evidence and the rule of law, right? Remember that old system? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you and I were fighting mass incarceration and the abuses of that system. Right. But it was a system that was based on the notion that you don't go after your political foes. You know, just because you lost, you don't put your previous folk in the White House in jail, right? Okay, so that's move to Trump, and you said he lies so much. He's not even a good liar. I mean, I keep saying he needs to have a medical intervention because he's got terminal diarrhea. Everything that comes out of his mouth is a lie, right? And not even a good one. And on top of that, it's just so clear that these are persecutions, not avenge. Every other word out of his mouth is vengeance. He has a vengeance list, not just an enemies list. Mm-hmm. And he's weaponized the Justice Department to the point where it is simply like a Glock 9 in his hands. Mm. It points and they shoot. So this is very dangerous. I know folks are like, why do we care about this? Because the system was never good to African Americans in the first place. That is absolutely true. Always has been for 400 years. And it's getting worse. Well, if they can go after Comey, what do you think they're going to do to us?
But that's the point. But let me jump in though. It's a powerful question. If they can do this to Comey, what will they do to us? That's the point. They've already done it to us. That's precisely why we don't trust the FBI and CIA, COINTELPRO, et cetera, et cetera. So I just don't know that Black people writ large see this fight as one they have a dog in.
That's absolutely understandable, and I would say probably true. And I guess I'm making the case for, oh yeah, a whole lot of stuff worse than this has been done to us.
Yeah.
Not to people like Obama though. Not to people like me.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about upper echelon elite African Americans, because the African American community, it depends on what strata of the color caste system and the power caste system you occupy. Those of us at the top of that food chain, and I put myself in there, we're largely immune. There's no stop and frisk for me.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? For my clients, it's every day, all day. So what I'm talking about is they're coming after the folks of us who thought we were okay. We're not the ones they used to prone out our Black senators and Black judges in LAPD. They don't do it anymore. Okay. So Rodney King paid that price. So I guess I'm saying it can get worse. It can also get worse for folks at the bottom, believe it or not. Mass incarceration is not the worst. What if they decide to since they got rid of the Fourth Amendment, you can now racially profile.
Mm-hmm.
You've got driving while Black, you now have living while brown. And that's enough of a suspicious basis for ICE to come in with masks and guns and snatch you off the street and send you to Sudan. Well, what if they decide to say that the Crips or the Bloods or a terrorist gang are not subject to any kind of due process, no longer are entitled to the protections that remain in the Constitution, and they just start rounding up young Black men and sending them to God knows where? That can happen now.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that I know folks can't connect these dots. To me, they look like bowling balls, but I'm not normal. So I guess what I'm saying is the reason to care about this is that as the few safeguards go, African Americans will be even more endangered, not to mention other minorities.
So let me just pick up on your point here about connecting dots, and for you, they look like bowling balls. They do for me as well. And you said one word that I want to come back to, because I want it just so happened I'm not on the air live on Fridays, but some drama happened at our station here in LA on Friday, and I ended up being on the air for a while when this story happened to break on Friday. And I said then, which I now want to reprise on my show for the national audience, I said this on Friday when this story broke, that Barack Obama is clearly on Donald Trump's enemies list. Barack Obama lives rent-free in the head of Donald Trump. If you don't believe me, I wish I had time to play it, but I ain't got time to get to that right now. But if you saw Donald Trump's UN speech that was just all over the place, you'll recall in that UN speech, here's the president of the United States speaking to an international audience. This is not domestic politics. He's not campaigning. He's talking to an international audience. And alongside all the other crazy stuff that he said, Connie, you'll recall he pivoted and went straight to Joe Biden and started trashing Joe Biden. But in that very same speech in front of the UN in 2025, Barack Obama had been in office in years now. He just went in on Barack Obama in a UN speech. So one, not only is it inappropriate to be demonizing former U.S. presidents in a speech before the world, what's that about? Why are you still going after Barack Obama? Here's my point.
He thinks
no. It's all yours. 1 second. My point is that Obama is clearly on this enemies list that he denies that he have. And I say this boldly right now. If Donald Trump continues to get away with naming people who then the Justice Department days later just magically, mysteriously end up investigating and then indicting. Today is James Comey. Tomorrow it's going to be Christopher Wray. Do not be surprised somewhere down the road if they find a way to indict Barack Obama. Now, we all know it's going to be a joke. But I'm telling you, Connie, to your point, we're not just going down a slippery slope. We're already in the cesspool. I don't see that as beyond the realm of possibility. And I don't think I'm smoking crack this morning.
No, not at all. In fact, I would say Obama has this whole special binder of his own. He's not even on the regular list. They're preparing something. Or they may decide to declare him part of Antifa and just summarily deport him. I mean, they've gotten so crazy with this stuff. they're testing. They're going after the former head of the FBI. So they're going to work their way up. They're testing. You know how they blood us?
That's right.
They blood us, cruelty, rounding up, separating children from their parents who are immigrants. They blood you for it. They get you used to it. They get you comfortable. You're uncomfortable at first, but then you think, well, that's not me. And then you kind of make your peace with it. And then you kind of look away when it's on TV because you really don't like it. He's blooding us. That's how you get people used to destruction of the norms, destruction of the rules, destruction of the procedures that are our protections. That's how you give up your freedom slowly but surely. So he's working his way up to Obama. So notice he's gone from lower level FBI people, lower level prosecutors. Now he's at the former head of the FBI. Next, he'll be going after entire heads of departments to the cabinet, and then he'll go to his former presidential. Then he'll go to Obama. So I think you're absolutely right.
So here's a question. I'm looking at all kinds of notes and questions coming in from listeners around the country, for that matter, around the world. And I think I know Connie's take on this. So I want to ask it anyway because I think it's worth the audience hearing the very question. So Trump is right, Tavis, about Democrats targeting him, though. He's right. They did target him. But those were weak tea cases brought out of frustration and arrogance because they wouldn't put him in Florence Supermax with the Unabomber as an insurrectionist guilty of treason, which begs the question, Tavis, why wasn't Trump on Obama's or Biden's enemies list? Here's what they're getting at, kind of, you've already figured it out. Donald Trump now has immunity to do anything he wants to do. But Democrats kept telling us, Kamala Harris included, that Donald Trump represented an existential threat to the democracy. If they really believe he represented an existential threat to democracy, why wasn't Donald Trump handled then? Because you see the way he's moving now.
Well, first of all, Democratic presidents shouldn't have an enemies list. That's the point of this conversation.
Right.
In this democracy, there are an enemies list. You may disagree with people, but you don't kill them and you don't persecute them without fact. Donald Trump was not gone after. Donald Trump committed crimes. Grand juries. I mean, I don't know what you need when you've got pictures of submarine national security details about our nuclear submarines piled up next to his toilet in Mar-a-Lago. Mm-hmm. That's a crime. There were substantive crimes, substantive factual evidence of crimes, and therefore those were not persecutions. Those were criminal prosecution. Mm-hmm. A world of difference, number one. Number two, there should never be an enemies list, not in a free democracy. And we can debate, I understand that the whole idea of the United States and our freedoms is an aspiration, mm-hmm. but that especially for African Americans, it's still an aspiration and it's in reverse right now. But you don't give up what framework we've got. We got out of slavery and we got our second founding of this Constitution by the Civil Rights Revolution. African Americans established the second founding of our constitutional order with the Civil Rights Revolution and all of those laws that are now being reversed. So instead of, you don't want to do an enemies list. Yep. That's the opposite of what we want to do.
Hold that thought right there, Connie. When we come forward, I got more items on my big board. Let Connie choose from. You're listening to Connie Rice on Tavis Smiley.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Senator Chuck Schumer says avoiding a government shutdown depends on Republicans.
But the fundamental question hasn't been answered yet, and we'll see on Monday. Are they serious about negotiating with us in a real way?
He'll meet with President Trump and congressional leaders today in the Oval Office. Congress has just 2 days to pass a stopgap bill before funding runs out Tuesday night. The FBI has fired around 20 agents who were photographed kneeling during George Floyd protests in 2020. The agents say it was a de-escalation tactic. Critics call the firings political, while the FBI Agents Association condemns them as unlawful. And Lieutenant Colonel George Hardy, one of the last original Tuskegee Airmen, has died at 100. Hardy flew 21 missions in World War II and was the youngest Red Tail pilot to see combat. His passing was announced by Tuskegee Airmen, Inc. on Friday. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Want to save a few bucks this season? Then head over to your local Big O Tires for their Save a Buck sales event. You'll save up to $250 on select sets of tires with paid installation through October 19th. The Save a Buck sales event, now at your local Big O Tires.
Hard Rock Style is coming to the Central Valley, just 30 minutes south of Bakersfield off Route 99. You'll find world-class gaming and entertainment. Less drive time equals more playtime. The all-new Hard Rock Casino Tejon. Opening soon.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Rams are 3-1 after beating the Indianapolis Colts Sunday 27-20 at SoFi. Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford connected with Tutu Atwell for an 88-yard touchdown pass with 1:33 left in the fourth quarter. The Chargers suffered their first defeat of the season, a 21-18 loss to the New York Giants. The Giants were 0-3. Rookie quarterback Jackson Dart, making his first NFL start, had a touchdown pass and ran for another TD. Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert was intercepted twice. Sad news for USC women's basketball star Juju Watkins. The Compton native will miss the entire upcoming season to continue rehabbing a torn ACL in her right knee. Watkins was injured March 24th in a second-round NCAA tournament game against Mississippi State. The Dodgers will play Cincinnati in the first round of the National League playoffs. Game 1 in the best-of-5 is Tuesday night at 6 at Dodger Stadium. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hello, KBLA delegation. Tavis Smiley here. On Saturday, October 25th, LA Trade Tech becomes the epicenter of ideas that matter. The Left Coast Forum is bringing together voices that challenge, inspire, and illuminate with keynote presentations from people like noted economist Richard Wolff, the man who breaks down capitalism in ways that make sense to working folk like you and me, and Dr. Cornel West will be there, the brilliant philosopher and activist who never stops fighting for justice and speaking truth to power and to the powerless for that matter. So this isn't just another conference. This is where ideas get tested, where the conversations that shape our future begin. Multiple plenary sessions, dynamic speakers, real talk about the issues that impact our communities, and then some good food and a live band. Saturday, October 25th, LA Trade Tech, Left Coast Forum. The event is free and open to the public, but you must register at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can also peep the plenary topics. The future belongs to those who show up and engage. So don't just think about change, be part of the conversation that creates it. The Left Coast Forum is brought to you by the LA Progressive, the Empowerment Congress, Community Coalition, Partnership for Growth LA, Southwest Voter Registration Education Project, LA Care Health Plan, United Teachers Los Angeles, Black Progressive Action Coalition, St. John's Community Health, the National Lawyers Guild, the Weingart Foundation, and more. Space is limited, so if I were you, I'd register right now at KBLA1580.com. Your voice matters, your presence matters. We'll see you there.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. Every girl deserves a chance to shine. That's the belief behind Forgiving for Living, Inc. Since 1999, this organization has been empowering at-risk girls ages 13 to 18, helping them overcome behavioral and mental health challenges. Founder Wendy Gladney's personal journey inspired the mission to give girls hope and purpose through the power of forgiveness. Through their ambassador program, workshops, and annual conference, Forgiving for Living has touched over 3,000 young lives, providing mentoring, life skills, training, and tools for building self-esteem and confidence. You can make a difference. Visit forgivingforliving.org to donate, volunteer, become a mentor, or find help for a young girl in need. Forgiving for Living, Inc., building brighter futures for young girls. Visit forgivingforliving.org today. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
helping to make you the most knowledgeable person in your circle of friends. This is Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and the brilliant Connie Rice. Connie, before I go back to the big board and do a couple other things, we were just talking here. Sometimes the best part of the show are the spirited debates and conversations I have with my team. We were just talking here, and I want to just put this straight to you. So we've established in this conversation that we don't really care about James Comey. I'm not even sure we care about Christopher Wray. So Comey is under indictment now, has to fight back. He's going after Christopher Wray next. He has an enemies list. He's going down that list. And I suggested earlier, and Connie did not disagree, in case you just tuned in, that we know Barack Obama lives rent-free in Donald Trump's head. Go back to the UN speech. And we know that Barack Obama is on his enemies list, as is one Michelle Obama, as is one Kamala Harris. We've already seen him go after these sisters. I see all your messages. Yes, I see your messages. He's going after black women as well. I acknowledge that. Whether it's Lisa Cook, whether it's Letitia James, Fonnie Willis, cities with black female mayors, Karen Bass, Muriel Bowser. I can do this all day long. He has an enemies list. He's got a lot of black folk on it. So here's the question we were just positing or wrestling with during that break, Connie. What happens if you and I are right that Barack or any other person I just mentioned on that list, somebody we actually care about, gets indicted by Donald Trump? Then what happens?
I don't think much of anything in terms of folks protesting and so forth. He'll go through with it. They will have lawyers that'll get fought out in the courts. But you're absolutely right. I mean, he's going after the people who he sees having gone after him.
That's right.
And so I think Attorney General James and Fonnie Lewis are really gonna get it.
Yep.
They're next, right below Christopher Wray. So you're absolutely right there. Obama lives in his head rent free because Obama, an elegant, highly educated African American man, humiliated him at the press event, that dinner, the press awards, the journalist dinner that they do.
The White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Correspondents' Dinner, thank you. I'm 70, can't remember stuff. Humiliated him, just gutted him in front of the press. And remember, Donald Trump could only control the tabloids. Remember, he had his little guy who ran around putting good stories in and procuring women for him, and you remember all that stuff from that trial, from those trials. But so he craves the approval of the New York Times and the Washington Post and all, establishment press. 60 Minutes too. So he gets to have revenge against them now too, you notice.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. Obama lives in his head rent free, and there's a good reason. Anybody who goes after him or worse makes people laugh at him. Those are the folks he wants to kill.
Yeah. So Democrats, at this hour at least, this story could change between now and the time I'm on the air tomorrow, but at this hour it appears that the government may shut down tomorrow if Democrats don't give Donald Trump the votes they need to keep this thing moving. So everybody knows we are hurtling inexorably toward this government shutdown, potentially as early as tomorrow, as early as this week. So Democrats have seemed to, at least for the moment, to have found a spine on that. We'll see what the fallout of that is going to be. But I wonder if, in fact, and again, we're talking about this because this stuff is as real as rain. If, in fact, he were to indict, say, somebody we actually care about, Barack or Michelle, even Kamala for that matter. So let's say they're on his enemies list and he does, in fact, indict them. Might that be the very thing that Democrats need to animate the left? They're not raising any money. There's a huge enthusiasm gap. Donald Trump might be playing into the left's hands if he were, in fact, to indict somebody that we actually care about.
Yeah, if they're high up enough, that would be one more thing that might set a little bit of a match underneath the Democratic base.
Right.
I don't think that most of the voters who are in the street protesting, and the No King's Day, and the folks who are out there every day at the Tesla, protesting Doge. They're older Americans, multiracial. I've got relatives who are out there at Falmouth doing the same thing. Boomers, retired, have time, and so forth. I think people are so isolated in their social media silos. Some of them are not even getting the news. Most of them aren't focused on what we're talking about. But the reason that they ought to be concerned is that they're building up. They're building up to what? They're building up to be able to say, that we, Trumpists, right Christian nationalist men, get to determine, number one, who's a citizen, who gets to stay in this country, who's a legitimate American, who casts legitimate votes. That's what the insurrection was about. You don't get to take Donald Trump out with votes from the urban core from people we don't even think should be eligible to vote. This is about rolling back not just the Civil Rights Act amendments, but the Civil War amendments to the Constitution that gave citizenship to former slaves. So if they can roll all that back and they can get rid of the whole judicial system and all of the safeguards, due process and reasonable suspicion, and you can't be at political persecutions, all of that goes away, then they've laid the track to go even further, and that's when they'll go after an Obama. So what I'm afraid of is, Tavis, if they get to the point where they actually feel okay enough to go after someone as important as former President Obama, that all that, we won't, it'll be too late. Yeah. Because the tools that we would have had to prevent that or fight that will be gone.
Yeah. What scares me is I don't know what agency everyday people have. If in fact Barack Obama or Michelle or Kamala, somebody of that stature, were in fact to be indicted, and we put nothing past Donald Trump at this point, I just don't know what agency we have in that moment. You're right. They'll fight it. They've got their lawyers. People will be outraged. There'll be tons of conversation about it. But unless it results in Democrats finding a spine, and showing up to vote in the midterms, I don't know what difference it would make. And the really sadder part, he said we'd be animated, Connie, not because the Democrats have laid out an agenda, but because we're mad about what the other side is doing. That's a whole nother conversation I ain't got time to get into. I digress on that. So let me choose from the big board for Connie, only because we just talked about Kamala Harris a couple of times. So this is Rachel Maddow. You recall the first interview that Kamala Harris did was on Rachel Maddow. And I want you to listen to what Rachel Maddow's prediction was then about how this book was going to do. Take a listen.
She writes about how everybody in Democratic politics responded when she made all her first phone calls to tell everybody the news, to ask them for their support. She took notes from those calls and she prints the notes in her book, page 17. Bill Clinton says, "Oh my God, I'm so relieved. Send me anywhere. Make this your own campaign." Hillary Clinton, "We'll do whatever we can. We'll jump on a plane. We'll get on Amtrak." Jim Clyburn says, "Let's go. I'm all in." But not all the calls went like that. And this is the kind of campaign book you might diplomatically call candid, which means it is not all nice. Gretchen Whitmer, "I believe you will win, but I need to let the dust settle. Talk to my colleagues before I make a public statement." President Obama says in part, quote, "Michelle and I are supportive, but not going to put a finger on the scale right now. Let Joe have his moment. Think through timing." Nancy Pelosi says in part, "It's important that there's a process. We have a great bench. We should have some kind of primary, not an anointment." And then Gavin Newsom, she writes, "Hiking, we'll call back." And then she puts in parentheses, "He never did." I will tell you, this book is going to sell a bazillion copies.
Wrong, Rachel. It ain't selling a bazillion or a gazillion. At the moment, it has not yet hit the New York Times bestsellers list, unless there's something that just dropped that I'm unaware of, and we've been knowing about it for weeks now. So on the pre-orders, I know something about this. I've written a few books. On the pre-orders, it still has not hit the list. Why am I saying that? I'm saying that because I believe that Kamala Harris made a strategic mistake. And I can't imagine, I'll let Connie respond when we come forward. I can't imagine that any of her advisors suggested to her that this is the way you want to frame this book. Not unless she's already decided that she ain't ever running for office again, because she's imploded any chance she ever has of running for high office ever again. What's that about? I can't imagine she was advised to write this book in this kind of frame. So did she go rogue against the advice of people around her? Did she allow the book company to goad her to say all this stuff? Because they will tell you, I know, that you got to sell books, so you got to say something. But Rachel is wrong. It is not selling anywhere near a gazillion copies. Why is that? Did Kamala Harris make a huge blunder in framing this book the way she did, which everybody basically has reviewed it as revenge politics, as score settling? I'll let Connie respond to that when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
From Leimert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nicolai Corte. Let's preserve Black land stories before they're lost forever. I want to personally invite you to be a part of something historic. As journalist in residence for the Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project, I've joined forces with powerhouse attorney and social justice champion George Fothery, the man who helped make history by delivering justice to the Bruce family in Manhattan Beach, securing the first known return of land unjustly taken from Black owners by a local government. That victory was monumental, but it was just the beginning. For generations, Black families have acquired land through grit, faith, and determination, only to lose it through violence, legal loopholes, forced sales, and systematic racism. What's been taken goes far beyond dirt and deeds. It's the erasure of wealth, identity, and legacy. That's why we've launched the Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project, a national effort to collect, protect, and preserve the stories of Black land lost before they're buried, forgotten, or erased altogether. Because there's power in telling Black stories, there is resistance in remembering, and there's justice in being seen and heard. This is where you come in. We're inviting you to be a part of this historic Black narrative archive. If you or someone you know has experienced land loss, displacement, or forced property sales, your story deserves to be heard and remembered. Your story belongs in this archive. Your truth matters not just to your family, but to our collective future. Visit blacklandlost.org today. Fill out our simple intake form and add your voice to the National Archive of Remembrance, Resilience, and Reckoning. Let's make these stories live on, not in whispers, but on the record. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nicolai Corte, and as always, we welcome your feedback.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Made fresh daily in the Mert Park, Los Angeles, California. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Connie Rice. Connie, my time's getting away from me. A quick question here that I am looking at that actually makes sense to me. Connie, where's it? I just lost it that fast. Connie Rice, can Donald Trump actually indict Barack Obama, given that former presidents now have immunity?
His immunity, I think, is a separate issue. He can order a prosecutor, any of the ones he's lined up, because he just found people who walked by a law school and put them in the positions.
Yeah.
They can force a grand jury, as they did in Virginia.
That is hilarious. Johnny said he's finding people just walking by a law school.
People have never been in a courtroom, I'm like,
oh, that was hilarious.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Connie. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm trying to rein in the snark. It's hard. It's real hard. Trying to remain professional.
Said walking. He picked people that walk by a law school.
When you're watching the John Gacy clown show, it's hard to remain professional.
I get it.
So he could get an indictment.
Yeah.
It'll get dismissed. I think Comey's is going to get dismissed. I think it'd get dismissed right out of hand because there's no factual predicate to it.
Yeah.
The indictment for Comey was so bad, the judge said you couldn't find the charges until page 88. It was just a political diatribe. And basically said this person, didn't even go to law school. I mean, it was pitiful. It's just pitiful. So yeah, he can indict Obama, but I don't think it was.
No, I think you're right. And you recall Tulsi Gabbard, she's already set this up. The Trump team already has this in play. You recall Tulsi Gabbard made the comment publicly that Obama conspired to discredit Trump's 2016 election win. Now, again, there's no there, but the frame, to use Connie's word, is already in place. All right, enough of that right now. I'm watching my time is getting tight. Am I right? Did Kamala make a huge strategic mistake here, or has she just decided with this book, I ain't running for office ever again anyway?
Both. What was she thinking? What, I don't think she listened to anybody, Tavis. I think, if anybody was advising her, I think she sat in her house and just did a grievance run. It reads like the diary of a mad politician, So listen, this book should have been a declaration of the plan for 2028.
That's right.
It should have been a declaration of how to save upward mobility, how to save the American dream for folks who have lost faith in it.
Mm-hmm.
It should have been, a manifesto for how we keep working toward multiracial democracy. It could have been any number. This is a big moment in history, Tavis. This is not business as usual time. We are in an extraordinary frame, an extraordinary historical frame, an existential threat frame, everything from climate change to the destruction of the democracy, the rise of all of that stuff that's too conceptual for most people. Just let's put it this way. We're in the crosshairs. Maybe that's concrete enough.
Yeah,
everything we value, everything we fought for 400 years is in the crosshairs.
Yeah.
So she could have made her book about that. Instead, she made it about her own personal. It was narcissistic navel gazing, and I think it was a huge mistake.
When I saw the Washington Post headline, which I'm paraphrasing here, but something close to this, that only Kamala Harris could bring us a book tour that is less compelling than her presidential campaign, I said, ouch, this book is not going to move, and it frankly isn't. I'm working my way through it, as are others who I know. But Rachel Maddow's prediction that it would sell a gazillion copies, wrong, Rachel. Our remaining moments of Connie Rice when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Helping to stretch your moral and political imagination. This is Tavis Smiley. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
Are you wet shaving? You'll get razor bumps.
Nah, Pops, I'm good with Gillette Skin Guard.
How long you been growing that beard mama hates anyway?
Since 77. I shaved and got ingrown so bad.
That's why I use the Gillette Skin Guard razor, face scrub, shave gel, and moisturizer. So I don't have to worry about new razor bumps or shaving irritation.
Gillette Skin Guard, huh? Your mama's gonna love this one.
The best a man can get keeps getting better with Gillette Skin Guard. Buy now at a retailer near you.
Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
This campaign was for the underserved, the marginalized, the abandoned, and betrayed by government. Since then, it has been my honor to be your mayor, and I'm proud to say that we took that victory 4 years ago and turned it into action. I also know some remain unsure of me after the unfortunate events surrounding my federal case. I was wrongfully charged because I fought for this city. And if I had to do it again, I would fight for New York again. And yet, despite all we've achieved, I cannot continue my re-election campaign. The constant media speculation about my future and the campaign finance board's decision to withhold millions of dollars have undermined my ability to raise the funds needed for a serious campaign. I hope that over time, New Yorkers will see this city thrive under our leadership, and that policies we put in place should be continued and expanded. I hope you will see that despite the headlines and innuendo, I always put you before me, always.
All right, Connie, there you have it. Just a taste of Eric Adams yesterday. He's out of the race. What is abundantly clear to me in the 2.5 minutes I have left is that they are determined by any means necessary to do everything they can to make sure that Zoran Mandami does not win this race.
I think you're right. But let's focus on Adams for a second.
Yeah.
You know, when I read the indictments against him for all of the allegations of corruption, I thought, I got to change the saying. The arc of the universe bends towards corruption. I mean, it's like he was operating a flywheel of corruption. This guy had, he had the chance to become a national leader. He wasn't about anybody but himself. So let me just put that out there. It's a shame. It's just a disgrace. All the stuff he could have done with his administration, and instead everybody's going to be going, facing legitimate criminal charges. So, yeah, they do seem to be panicked by Mandami, and I don't know what the polling looks like. It's going to be a turnout race. Whoever gets out there more is going to determine.
No, it feels to me in this moment, that there's nothing they can do. The train has left the station. I think Mandami wins this thing. And I don't know at this point that they can stop that. I mean, they're not going to stop trying. We'll see what Cuomo does, but certainly the race narrowing plays to Cuomo's favor. No question about that. Adams will still be on the ballot. His name will be, it's too late to take his name off the ballot. But he's out. And so it narrows the race. So now you've got these basic three. You got Cuomo, you got the Republican Curtis Sliwa, and of course, Mr. Mandami. And so we will see how this plays out. Somebody asked me moments ago, why didn't Adams take the Trump job? I said, hold up, it's only been 24 hours. So you got to put some space between these two things. I am certain that in the next couple of days, there'll be a big announcement about some job for Eric Adams, but you don't want to announce that when you're sitting on the steps with the poster of your mama sitting behind you about your service to the city of New York. Got to put a little space between one announcement and the other. So stick around. You're going to hear in a couple of days exactly the job that Eric Adams is going to get. I digress on that for now. Connie Rice, as always, I so enjoyed talking to you. I deeply, deeply appreciate your insights. We'll do it again.
Yeah, you take care, Tavis. Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Cordell West, Smiley and West, coming up on Tavis Smile.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Senator Chuck Schumer says avoiding a government shutdown depends on Republicans.
But the fundamental question hasn't been answered yet, and we'll see on Monday. Are they serious about negotiating with us in a real way?
He'll meet with President Trump and congressional leaders today in the Oval Office. Congress has just 2 days to pass a stopgap bill before funding runs out Tuesday night. The FBI has fired around 20 agents who were photographed kneeling during George Floyd protests in 2020. The agents say it was a de-escalation tactic. Critics call the firings political, while the FBI Agents Association condemns them as unlawful. And Lieutenant Colonel George Hardy, one of the last original Tuskegee Airmen, has died at 100. Hardy flew 21 missions in World War II and was the youngest Red Tail pilot to see combat. His passing was announced by Tuskegee Airmen, Inc. on Friday. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7.